Boy, I got some stuff to cover in this video. Stick around to the end. I promise you, it will be very informative. Hey YouTube, hope everyone's having a fabulous evening and everyone's doing well. So I just wanted to address a couple things that that everyone's being quiet about, and I kind of understand why they're doing it, and I don't understand why they're doing it. So let's go ahead and get into it. I talked to the neighbor behind me and the neighbor in front of my house. They are both older than I am, and I asked them at several times the same question: do you remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? And both of them answered, oh yeah, I remember. One of them is an immigrant from Ireland, and he immigrated to America in the mid-1970s, got his residency, and he lives here now. I asked him what it was like for him, because he was a young teenager during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He told me how crazy it was. He told me how the government in Ireland sent little booklets to everybody's house in the mail on how to build a bomb shelter and how to store food in case of a nuclear war. That's what the neighbor behind me told me. The neighbor in front of me, who grew up here in the good old US of A, told me it was crazy. All the time in school, they would do drills. You know, get under the desk in case of a nuclear blast. Kind of like tornado drills or earthquake drills. But they went through drills almost every week, he told me. And the government sent out pamphlets and information on how to build a bomb shelter. They were telling people, the threat is real, build a bomb shelter. And he told me some of his neighbors had built bomb shelters. And he's a country boy from North Carolina, so everybody knew how to can food and had food stored up anyway. But we fast forward, 50 years later, 55, 60 years now into the future, and we have this true threat of a possible nuclear war. Not that anybody wants it, but it just takes one idiot to do something dumb and off the missiles fly. And the government isn't telling us anything about our threat level. And I am not by any way, shape, or form a mind reader of anybody, but I can guarantee you we've upped our DEFCON level. When Putin said, he wouldn't rule out using nuclear weapons. Now, that might be all rhetoric, I don't know, but like I said, all it takes is one dumb person to do one dumb thing. And, I think we're at the threat level of one away from having our finger on the button saying, go ahead, pal. Let's whip it on. So they're not saying anything. I have heard nothing on any news channel from CNN to Newsmax talking about, you need to be, well, some of the news channels, let me back that up. They are saying, you should probably get yourself prepared because things can get really bad really fast. But for the most part, crickets. So now I'm going to tell you something about what happened at my work. I am a federal employee. I'm a nurse. And we have policies and procedures to do everything. Everything from where and how to park your car, literally, and how to wash your hands, when to wash your hands, and how often to wash your hands. There are pages of this stuff. Think about it. They have a policy and procedure for everything. So our emergency procedures manual has nothing about a possible nuclear war. And me being the vigilant, prepared person that I am, I sent an email to somebody and I asked, hey, I haven't found anything in case we get a nuclear missile alert on our cell phones, like kind of like what they did in Hawaii, that false message that went out. But this is a real threat, and there's no policy or procedure what to do, how to proceed in case something, God forbid, it does happen. There's nothing written down. And my immediate boss said, hey, that's a real good question. Let me forward it on. So it got forwarded to the powers that be, and this is the message I got from the powers that be. I'm not going to say any names, but this is what it said, and it's very condescending to me. Based on the hazard vulnerability assessment conducted locally, regionally, and statewide, the need to have a policy or procedure in place for such an event isn't required at this time. Really? This even kind of shocked me. I kind of expected this, but it really shocked me. Have a policy or procedure in place for such an event isn't required at this time. Mind-boggling. In the event of a threat or attack is imminent, that means it's going to happen, more guidance would be forthcoming. We will continue to monitor guidance and the national level of threat from DHS. These are real super reliable people at DHS, is evidenced by everything that's happening in our country right now. Kind of like the bulletin that I read, the bulletin they put out about how you're a terrorist if they think you're putting out misinformation. I mean, that's just insanity. I appreciate your concern and will remain vigilant if the climate changes. Blah, 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 with a whole bunch of alphabets behind the person's name. So that's just shocking. And anybody who watches this video, please share it, because people need to know how inept our federal government is, how centralized we are. No one can make a decision at any local level about anything. Pretty simple. No matter what part of the federal government they're in, they're not going to do anything without an answer from the Central Committee or guidance from them. I mean, that's just the truth. There is zero leadership. So, we are supposed to be a high reliable organization. And if you say something, you're supposed to see something. Or if you see something, you're supposed to say something, bring something up, and they're supposed to listen to us. Well, they listened to me and gave me a condescending answer. So this is my reply that I wrote back to said person. I consider myself extremely vigilant. This is the answer I expected. I was hoping someone would be proactive and not reactive. So if there's an imminent threat, that means no policy, no procedure can be written. It can never be disseminated in time. That means the missiles are probably in the air, or a day or two away from being in the air. And nothing can be written and sent out in the federal government without it going through 2 weeks of bureaucracy. It's just that simple. I have no faith in any leadership where I work. None. I've lost all confidence. So I went on to say, by the time the missiles fly, and in parentheses, and let's hope they don't, it will be too late. And relying on DHS is like relying on Putin to keep his word. Well, at least there's a record now of this email. At least I said something. I couldn't let this stand. This has got to be changed. Let's not take initiative. Let's wait for the Central Committee to tell us what to do. Semper Fidelis me. So I really hope this sinks into some people, and please share this. People need to know the government isn't being forthcoming, they're not being truthful, and they don't give a crap about anybody. It kind of goes like what's going on in Ukraine. Our president asked their president, do you want to ride out? And his reply was, no, I need ammunition. I'm sure if something bad happened, everybody's going to be okay, except me and all y'all watching this video. So keep that in mind. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the answer I received from the federal government. Again, thanks for taking the time for watching this. Stay safe. God bless America and God bless your family. AV Prepping out.